Hello everyone, it's me, Clayton. I just got back from watching Dark Phoenix, the final X-Men movie in this 20th Century Fox cinematic universe. And it, of course, stars Sophie Turner, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, a bunch of X-Men actors you all know. And it is the second attempt for Fox to portray the Phoenix Saga. That's not only one of the best storylines in Marvel Comics, but it is one that they messed up already with X-Men The Last Stand. And would you believe it if I told you they messed it up even worse this time? Not only is it a disappointing X-Men film, but it is possibly the most disappointing ending I've seen for a film series since Transformers The Last Night. And that's definitely saying something when I hated that series and yet I was still disappointed with the ending, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get to the story, shall we? The story is about Jean Grey. After the X-Men happen to save some astronauts in space, she ends up absorbing a cosmic energy that increases her powers and makes her mental issues all the more unstable. She finds out that Professor Xavier has been suppressing her memories, and she ends up being ostracized and outed by the X-Men, Magneto, and pretty much everyone around her. All while Jessica Chastain's character tries to get her to unleash her Phoenix powers for her own purposes. Now, I definitely think that this film was trying to be more like the original X-Men Phoenix Saga, albeit without the Hellfire Club and the Black Queen, which just wouldn't fly today. But, like almost everything in this film, you get the sense that since Fox realized that the X-Men weren't going to last much longer and that people realized the films were getting worse and worse, it feels like with this one that they didn't even try. The first hour and a half of the movie is mostly just boring exposition and a bunch of cliches of the X-Men franchise that we've seen a million times before. Whether it's Magneto getting angry at Charles, whether it's Charles Xavier screwing up for the 50 millionth time, whether it's a supposedly meaningful death that should spark some emotion but really doesn't. Every single trope in the book is pulled, and not only are they not effective, but some of them even contradict the earlier films in the X-Men series. I won't spoil anything, but basically, it's a movie that doesn't make any sense when it comes to what was set up beforehand. And as for the last half hour, since I was told previously that the last section of the movie was reshot, it definitely feels like that, because it feels like it belongs in a completely different film. Whereas the first hour and a half is essentially extremely melodramatic with minimal action and a lot of heavy-handed acting. Whether it's heavy-handed acting from Sophie Turner, whether it's genuinely good acting with not a good script with Charles Xavier, or whether it's Jennifer Lawrence's acting that makes her look like she'd rather be anywhere else but here. The last half hour is just an action extravaganza that pretty much makes me think that the director, Simon, thought that the film was being this terrible anyways, so we might as well just reshoot this ending to have as much action as possible to try and salvage anything that we can in the last movie. Spoiler alert, it doesn't salvage anything. So, I actually prefer the way X-Men The Last Stand handled it, because at the very least it had some good action. At the very least it had Kelsey Grammer as Beast. At the very least it had some X-Men characters that we never saw before on film doing cool stuff. Here it's mostly just a downer, and it's not the X-Men Endgame kind of downer or Infinity War kind of downer where you have hope for the future and it's earned. None of this feels earned. We just go from one scene of boring exposition to another, action scenes that might have a few decent power effects here and there, but are mostly forgettable, and then we just trudge along through most of the things that we've seen before 100 times with little new effort or innovation. And it just ends up feeling like the film barely even ends on a satisfying note. It feels like it just hit the 2-hour mark, so it feels like it just ends. Now, I know that the X-Men are going to Disney and we're going to get more X-Men movies later on in the future, but And I also know that the X-Men series did bring better superhero films in the future, but I think this is definitely where the franchise needs to rest. We need to just let it die here, and we can hope that Marvel will do a better job with it. Besides, they have New Mutants. That's probably going to happen too. But as far as this film is considered, it fails as an adaptation, it fails as a finale for the series, and it just fails all of its characters. It fails Jean Grey, Xavier, Cyclops, Magneto, it fails everybody. And it really does suck that the series that lasted this long has to end on such a disappointing note, but that's what we got. I give Dark Phoenix a 3 out of 10. See you next time.